Hello, my friends. It is time for the United States election, which happens every 4 years. Now, I have friends who are on both sides of the political spectrum, who each feel that the results of this election are the most important thing in the world. And I would like to put forth a different perspective today. I'm not going to be saying that how our governments operate and who's in charge is not important. But I am going to say, and you've heard this from me before, that we cannot depend on the government to solve our problems, to fix our world for us. No, it would be a lot easier if we could do that. And maybe a lot nicer. We could all sit back and just wait for our leaders to fix things for us. But as we know from history, our leaders are just as likely to mess things up as they are to fix things. So there is one person that can make a huge difference in the world. And that is you. This is not the message we usually hear. We hear that your power is basically to cast your vote and then sit back and watch things happen. Turn on the news and be a passive observer of the world's events. Changing the world, that's for special people that are smarter or more important or richer or more something than we are. The thing is, the government, this background structure, this is just the stage upon which the theater is played out. And each of us, we are the actors. So as the actors, we're the ones that really, really shape, collectively, how this world unfolds and how our collective human experience feels and appears. We might not want this responsibility. We might want to look the other way. But when we seize that responsibility, something very powerful and magical happens. And this, I feel, is the moment to seize that power. Because this election, whichever way it goes, it opens up an opportunity for change. Whenever there's transitions in life, those are opportunities for transformation. And we, here in the United States and around the world, are about to have that moment of transition where we can say, hey, what could I do differently? How could I really, really come into my own power and change the world that I perceive around myself? Regardless of whether you adhere to Christianity or think Christianity is the worst thing in the world, Jesus did say something that I consider to be very wise, and that was to love our neighbor as ourselves. And this is a basic component of most wisdom traditions. That if we look at others as others, if we believe in this myth of separation, then we enter into a world where we, as individuals, are looking out for ourselves first. And when we do that, we alienate ourselves from our environment, from the ecosystem that we live in here, and from our fellow humans. And when we do that, it's no wonder that we start to find that maybe our neighbors aren't all that friendly. After all, we're not treating them with kindness and compassion and love. But when we do, then we start a blossoming. We shift things around so that other people around us begin to absorb that energy. And we can imagine the world's filled with hearts that have been hardened and hearts that are very soft. And our culture likes to look at that hard heart and say, that's strength. But those are walls, rather delicate walls that have been put around a heart that is filled with fear. And a soft heart is so fearless and courageous that it's open. It says, bring on anything you want. I'll absorb it all into me, and I will transform it into something positive. That's the change we can make. It is a responsibility. It will take effort on all of our parts, but so liberating to say, I'm not going to wait for some mythical leader to come and change my world. I am going to be that leader of my own life. I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to change the world that I perceive and I experience. I'm going to love my neighbor as myself. Now, I understand this is not always easy. There are some people who are very difficult to love. And some of you have shared stories about people in your lives that it's so unbendable that it makes us realize that sometimes there's just rocks in life that we are not capable of budging. And that's okay. Sometimes we have to adapt to a situation that we cannot change. But in the vast majority of cases, those hardened hearts, they just need to come up against a soft heart and find out what happens when they shoot some arrows into that heart and that heart is still okay. That heart doesn't have to live in fear, and maybe theirs doesn't either. So here it is, a moment of change and transformation in the world. And no matter how the election turns out, what matters is that you and I, that we set a personal example, and that we share with the people around us. We love them as well as we can. And that is what's going to instigate real change in this world. As more and more of us do this, we will start to see leaders emerging from among us who have that heart. That heart that once was looked at as soft, but now is seen for what it truly is, which is resilient and courageous and open and not afraid. So my friends, with the election here, I would use this as a moment to call upon all of us to not wait to see who this next leader will be and if they will change our lives, but to become that leader yourself. To change your life in such positive ways that those around you cannot help but take notice, and to start to want that change in their own lives. My friends, love you all so much. May we make this transformation a beautiful, positive thing. Love to you all. Talk with you in the comments.